I'm so excited to have you all here and the opportunity to lead and be your host today for the Leadership Gem series. So this is a program under the BMCC Academy of Leadership and Service. My name is Kayla Marilis, as Christina already mentioned, and I'm the other assistant director of student activities, and my specific role is involved in civic involvement is my title. So during the first GEM series, we were joined with one of our great BMCC alum, Salimatu Dumbaya, and today we are now back with another BMCC alum. So excited to be hosting today with Amanda Rios. Amanda and I met when I first started at BMCC in 2018 when she was working in the Women's Resource Center, and she's going to tell us a lot more about her journey from BMCC and beyond. So excited to have her here. Thank you so much for being here, Amanda.
Hi everyone, thank you all so much for inviting me to come and speak to you all. I always get excited when I'm invited back to do anything at BMCC just because it's where I started. You already know what I was about to say, but I'm trying not to say it.
I think you should just say it. Just say it. If you know what Amanda's talking about, put it in the chat. Start here.
Go anywhere. Right?
Go anywhere.
So, yeah, so thank you. I'm so excited to be here. So sad that it couldn't be in person, but we're here.
Exactly. We're here, and that's what matters, right? We're finding ways to connect in what we're going to call the new normal. So, all right, so let's get started with our first question, which is a pretty simple one. I think you're going to have a lot to be able to share on this. So, brag about yourself for a minute. Tell us what you were involved with during your time at BMCC.
I feel like Ace Ventura when he takes a deep breath and then he's about to go off on his. Anyway, sorry, I'm probably aging myself. I'll just start off by saying I wasn't actually a student leader per se. I mean, probably not in the way that a lot of you are or will be, but so when I was at BMCC, when I first started, I was just like, okay, I am not getting into anything. I am not going to do anything but go to my classes, go home, get a snack, go to sleep. I'm out of high school. My time is mine now. That's it. No one can tell me anything, right? 18 years old. I'm like, yay. So at first I was just like, no, I'm not going to do anything. I'm not with it. When I was in high school, that was my thing. I was running everything, basically, running the events, the programming, the graduation, the yearbook. I was doing all of that. So I was just like, I'm tired. I want to just focus on my classes, right? But I started out as an ASAP student, right? I was admitted to BMCC and to the ASAP program, thankfully. And it kind of just snowballed from there, right? So I said I wasn't going to do anything. So I didn't volunteer for anything. I didn't push myself to get into anything. But being an ASAP student, you all don't know Michael Stahl, rest in peace, Michael Stahl, but he was the career specialist at the time. And for some reason, I wasn't even looking for a job, but I was always meeting him, right? Meeting with him. So one day he comes to me, he says, hey, do you want to be a welcome ambassador? I was like, okay, yeah, let's do it. Money? Yes, pay me. I would like to have my first job. So just to give you some context on where I'm going, right? So I was a welcome ambassador. I was, from there, I joined the SALT team, the Student Activities Leadership Team, which I don't know if that has been reenacted again. But the way I got in was basically by word of mouth. So we'll talk more about that later.
And it has been reenacted even virtually. Just saying.
You see, yes. And I don't know if you all know about it, but Mr. Mars wanted to have a Peppa to go with it. We gotta love Mr. Mars' acronyms, right? So I did the Student Activities Leadership Team where we were, a group of student leaders who wanted to just, get more students engaged in student life, right? So that means, starting a committee so we can figure out, okay, we know students want these kind of events. Okay, we know students want these kind of things at this time. So it was more so just to boost engagement amongst our fellow peers. So I did that. I was also a college assistant, right? And I don't know, for some reason, I was given a lot of, like, they really trusted me. Maybe they can speak to that later, but Ms. Mars and Melissa Ponte when she was there, Mariana Torres when she was there, and also Nareda Montejo. Oh my God, I'm so sorry if I'm saying her last name wrong. When they were all there, they were just like, hey, you're like really good with students. Like, do you want to like work on these workshops with me? So I was basically just like brought in to like facilitate workshops, to basically run the leadership programs, you know, just like making sure that the students went to the right classrooms that they needed to go to, that the speakers knew where they were going, that you know, we had their content so we can set it up beforehand. I was running almost all of the Plus trainings. Is Plus still a thing? I didn't even, oh my gosh. It is?
Not,
Okay.
it is sort of virtually,
Okay.
it's a little bit challenging, right? So,
Right.
but
So
yes,
like,
it's a thing in the world.
Does it still make sense? I hope so. That's my baby. So what I love, okay, so you said brag about yourself. Plus, it really is my baby. I'm just gonna say it. It's my baby. I came up with the acronym. You know, although we sat there for literally 3 days in Mr. Martin's office with a whiteboard, we wrote down all the acronyms. And before we even did that, I wrote on a little Post-it, I put PLUS, and I was just like, partners, lending, something support, right? I was just like, people, something support, like, you know, but I knew we had PLUS. So we were like, all right, we'll table that. So 3 days, we're going through it, and none of them worked out. So I was just like, hey guys, so what about a plus? Like, look at my little Post-it, it says plus on it, what about that one? And they were like, yes, let's go with that one. Partners lending universal support. Yes, okay, great. So plus is my baby, thank you very much. And then just to like kind of close it all out, as a college assistant, I made sure that I was kind of like in everything. So like I would help advise SGA with their, you know, with their events, with, you know, spending money. It was a lot of like administrative stuff, but like to a level where, you know, I'm still a student, but I still have some knowledge of what we do in student activities. So I'm gonna like combine those two and, you know, help you create this program, you know, the best way that we can, so.
Yeah, it really sounded like you were like a student liaison within like student activities and all the things that were happening for students on campus.
Yes, actually, I like that word, liaison. Yeah, I agree with that. It definitely, that's definitely how it felt, you know. I would not only know the administrative side, but I would also know like the students come to me like, Amanda, come on, are you serious? Do I really need to submit these 3? Yes, you do need to submit it. Let me tell you why. This, and that. Okay, fine, no problem. I'll do it just because it's for you. That's what they would tell me. No problem. I'll do it because you, all right, I got it.
So it's interesting because you started off by saying, you know, well, I really wasn't a student leader, but everything that you just described to me 100% sounded like you were a student leader. You just maybe didn't follow the traditional route in getting there.
Yeah, maybe because I was getting paid for what I was doing, like that was my job basically. That's why I never really like considered myself like, you know, like a student leader, but like a lot of the work that I did, you know, getting paid for, a lot of other students were doing that, you know, without being a college assistant, like they were just doing it. So that's why I was like, okay, I can't really, because this was my job, like I can't really say I was a student leader, but if you take away the, you know, the getting paid for it part, then yeah.
Yeah, but I think, and I would say that there's definitely positions on campus where like student government has stipend pay. There's like the impact mentors are paid, different tutors on campus are paid, but that doesn't mean that you're not a student leader. It just means that you're getting paid to do it.
True.
There, you know, there's definitely different pathways to student leadership. So yours came through employment I would say.
So let this be an example to you all.
That there's different pathways of getting involved in becoming a student leader. Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah. So why don't you tell us a little bit about what you've been up to since you left BMCC? Like, when did you graduate and what have you been up to since?
Okay, so I graduated 2014, but I was still working as a college assistant in student activities, right? So although I had my AA, I was like, yay, ready to go on, get my bachelor's. I was still working in the Office of Student Activities, and then attending classes at Queens College.
Okay.
So after I graduated, I was, getting my bachelor's at Queens College. And then from there, I basically moved on from BMCC, right? So I got another job. I got a full-time job at Silverman School of, no, I lied. I'm skipping a whole step. I got a full-time job in the Women's Resource Center.
Okay.
Right? So I'm still with BMCC, but just not as a student.
Okay.
And then I did like 6 months there, and I ended up getting a job at Hunter, Silverman School of Social Work, because I had put in an application like the year before. And they finally called me back. So like, just so you all know, if you ever apply to CUNY, don't expect a call right away.
It takes a minute.
It takes some time. But I got a call and I was like, okay, moving on to Silverman School of Social Work. I was there for 2 years, where I started my master's in higher education at Baruch. In their, what is it, the MSPIA? Yeah, the Mark School of Public International Affairs. Ooh, that was a mouthful. Which I will be graduating from this year, actually. This is my final semester. I am so glad to be done. But before all that, right after Hunter, I ended up working at CUNY School of Law. So yeah, so while I graduated and I was done with BMCC, I still wasn't done until I moved on up to Hunter.
And certainly you have not been done with CUNY, because you're going to have 3 degrees from 3 different CUNY schools, and you're going to have worked at 3 different CUNY schools. So
I'm just a CUNY hopper.
You CUNY family. That's how we roll. Like, that's just how it's going to be. Yeah, CUNY lifer, right?
Yeah, for sure. When I first started my new job now, when they found out where I was before, they were like, so what's your fascination with CUNY? And I was just like, don't worry about what I'm doing. I was just like, you know what? The opportunities are there. I'm going to go take them. So.
Absolutely. Well, we're happy to have you still part of the CUNY family. We love to see that, and certainly I know us BMCC staff are extremely proud of all the things that you've accomplished since moving on and still being a part of CUNY. It's nice to be able to see like your legacy in that way. So,
thank you.
So okay, so you started as a student at BMCC, then became a staff member, and eventually you were asked to facilitate a workshop at one of OSA's leadership retreats back in the day. We wanted to know a little bit about that experience when you were, as a student, being asked to participate, as a workshop facilitator, moving from those roles. Like, how was that experience for you?
So I think about that a lot, right? Because, I basically got into higher ed straight out of high school. Not many people get a job in higher education as they're starting college, if that's what they want to do. So, it's just been a transformative process for me. Being someone who worked so closely in the office, for 5 years, that's a long time. As your first job, really, that's, just getting to know Mr. Mars and, the people I mentioned before, Melissa, Nareda, Mariana, all those people, I use them in a way where they really help me springboard to like where I am now, to be able to be, invited back to do the retreats, right? I think it's been 3 that I've been invited back to, 3 or 4 maybe. So I really couldn't have made it through this transformation without the people that I knew before. So I always say I'm very fortunate that I was, I ended up in the places that I did, because some of it was luck, a lot of it was hard work. A lot of it was me like thinking like, okay, you know what, maybe I should get to know this person. Maybe I should get into this program. But a lot of it was mentorship, whether it was official or not. I was literally like, they're, they can probably tell you, maybe I annoyed the hell out of them for it, but I was always like, hey, can you look at my resume? Hey, what do you think about this job application? What do you think about me joining this conference? What about this conference? And because they saw that I had like that hunger just to kind of like find out more information, they started recommending me for things. And they're saying like, if this is what you want to do, you need to learn this. Like, even to this day, sometimes I'll talk with Mr. Mars and he'll say, hey, just remember, you need to know these laws. Like if you're trying to be in an assistant director position, in a director position later on, you need to know these laws, you need to know this, you need to know that. And this is without us having spoken for like 6 months or a year, So it's just creating those relationships with those individuals at that point. But more people later on, of course, that just help generate, that just really helps move that transformation along. So if I could describe it in one word, I would say it's been transformative. Just being able to learn all the things that I've learned and to bring it back to where I started, from someone who was just like, oh wow, this is interesting. Okay, yeah, I can plan an event. Yeah, I can, help you spend your money, but you learn there's so much more to it, right? You learn about the shared governance policies, the bylaws, the politics, the bureaucracy, like you learn about all of that.
The list goes on and on.
Oh, yes, it does.
But I first of all, I love the word transformative. That is like such a powerful word to use. And then thinking about like everything that you're saying, I'm really thinking like mentorship and networking have been like so vital to, and also like your pursuit of things, because like it's one thing to like have something, but a lot of people maybe sometimes keep it inside, but you used your network and those mentors that were around you to really facilitate that transformation. Something transformative doesn't always necessarily happen to you. You have to take action towards it, right?
Yep.
And I definitely feel like as you're expressing yourself, like that's definitely something I see and admire. Speaking of admiration, who is someone that you admire as a leader and why?
This is always a hard question for me. This is kind of like the banana question.
From Bolt?
Kayla, yeah. Do we still do that? Is that a thing?
Yes, the banana question is still a thing, yes.
This is kind of like the banana question, because like you sit there for a minute, you're like, what? How can I just say one thing? Like, there's so many possibilities to this answer. So for me, really, it's so hard to hone in on one person, because I feel like everyone has a different style of leadership, right? Everyone approaches it differently, whether it works or not, that's, up to the approach, right? But if I really had to narrow down to one person, some people know this, the BMCC staff know this, but you all don't. So I'm also a professional Latin ballroom dancer, right? So throughout all this time that I've been talking about, BMCC and my career and all that, like I've been like dancing since like almost 10 years now, right? So obviously I follow artists, I follow, other dancers, and I admire their work. And there's this one person, you probably know her, she's in the movie Honey. Maybe I'm aging myself again, but she's in the movie Honey. She's the girl in the end who's doing a solo. She's got short curly hair. Her name is Jessica Castro, right? And I've never taken any one of her classes, but just the way that she she presents herself, the way that she manages her classes, the way that she just she pours into her students, right? Like she genuinely cares about dance. She cares about what she does. She cares about her profession. And the way that she pours into her students, the way that she, she's tough on them, but in a way where it's like, it's necessary, right? It's like, stop being lazy with yourself, stop cheating yourself, make sure that you're doing this with intention. Like, just like, you can even, if you look her up, you can see like her Instagram videos, like she'll have like reels of her like, not yelling at her students, but like, she's just so passionate about what she does that she's like, come on, why don't you see that you are fighting for your life? Like, this is real life. Like, she's just trying to get her students to just see like, it's more than just a 5, 6, 7, so just to like kind of like bring it back to like our context, like I just appreciate the value that she adds to her students, and that she is just so giving of herself. I think that makes an incredible leader. Like, you cannot be a leader if you're not ready to honestly crawl in the mud as well.
Mm-hmm.
That's a real leader for me, so
100%.
Jessica Castro, she's been training since she was young. She's been through it all, right? And she tells her people that is what you need to be who you want to be, so it's just that passion of wanting others to be better.
Yeah. Well, and I think it probably relates to you both in dance and in higher education, because you're working with students in both capacities and thinking about how you can bring students' potential to the forefront. And that's what it sounds like for her as well. Like, it's not about it's like tough love in a way that's like, I see your potential and I want you to see it too. And I see that from you. Like, when you're teaching dance at an OSA leadership retreat, or, you're coming back and having conversation, like, you see all like the positivity, and I'm going to say the gems in other people, you know what I mean? So you're definitely admiring someone who you also are doing some of that work as well. So
thanks, Kayla, I appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely. So okay, let's see if there is a lesson that you've learned throughout your time as a student at BMCC that you'd like to share with folks here.
Yes. Relax.
I love that. Okay, tell us more. Relax.
So, as a student, right, you're learning, especially if you're a student seeking an associate's degree, right? Like, sometimes that usually means, for the most part, that means that you're starting out in your journey, right? You don't know everything, and you don't even know what you don't know. So why would you stress yourself out? Why would you worry yourself, about what you don't know, right? I know that sounds crazy. And you're just like, Amanda, okay, you know what? Bye. Next speaker. Let's get her out of here. But
no, not at all.
But genuinely, I wish I had, just given myself more time to just do fun stuff, to, not always worry about the academics. Like, yes, it is important, but how can I feel okay with studying for an exam when I'm just like, I'm overwhelmed, I'm stressed, and like, the studying can wait. I can't do it effectively if I'm not feeling right,
Yeah.
Also, with that, I know that like there's like, like anxiety with like, oh my gosh, but if I relax, if I chill out, like if I take a break, I'm gonna be behind. I'm not gonna be able to finish everything. Don't worry about that. Things will get done when they get done. Okay, I am a master procrastinator. All right, master. I will wait till the absolute last minute to get stuff done. All right, and that's terrible. That's terrible self-care. Do not do that. But that's just what works for me. But the thing is, I have this planner, right? You don't have to get this fancy one. I don't know if you can even see it because of the thing. But anyway, it's kind of big, right? And it has everything noted out by the hour. Okay. So what I do is I plan to procrastinate.
I guess it's like, you know what, that also is just really speaking to like you knowing yourself. So it's like, if you know that you're going to procrastinate no matter what, that's part of who you are, then you can plan ahead to build in your procrastination to still be effective. That's kind of cool, you know, but I really, really appreciate your lesson of like relax, because I think that is something that it's probably been really challenging for everyone this year, before this year, after this year. It's one of those things that everyone should just like take a moment. Right. And I think sort of following up on that, knowing what you know now, what advice would you give to yourself before you were a student?
Network. Yes, yeah, network. That's definitely what I would tell myself, because I told myself in the beginning, like, don't even worry about, you don't need to talk to anybody. Why would you want to talk to those people? That's strange. Like, what's wrong with you? Like, why are you, like, don't do that, right? But definitely get to know as many people as you can. Get to know people in different areas. Get to know people that you may think are above you. There's no such thing, okay? No such thing. You should be able to learn from, from the people around you, right? So what I wish I had known was just go talk to people. Don't be afraid. People aren't as scary as you think. Some, yes. Okay, I don't talk to strangers, but but no, just like take the opportunity to get to know as many people as you can. Sign up for LinkedIn. I'll tell you this, I just did my LinkedIn. All right. So I just did it because I was just like, what do I need it for? And no, like I'm good, it's fine. But I have been connected with some people that I used to one of my professors from BMCC, someone that I really liked working with, that she's a writer. It's connected me to some people where I'm like, oh, I forgot they existed. So, now where I am in my life, in terms of like in my career, in my, other projects, and my dance stuff, now I'm like, oh, wait a minute. Okay, now I can make these connections. I can reach out to this person because I want to write a book, right? I can reach out to this person because I want to do this. And don't feel bad about reaching out to people. We're all overworked, we're all stressed, yes, I know.
Yeah. It's true. But you want to know what? This is something we need to stop telling ourselves no.
Yes.
Right? I talk about this a lot with my friends. And I think that's sort of like what you're saying is like, don't be afraid to put yourself out there. The worst thing that could happen is someone says, sorry, I can't right now. Or, I'm not available. And like, okay. And that's sort of you're kind of leaving that situation the way you started, which was no. But if you don't ever try, then you'll be always telling yourself no, and you're not giving yourself the opportunity to see what's out there and those connections that could be really, could be really transformative, right?
Yes, absolutely. It's cliche, but it's not what you know, really. It's who you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
Again, the only reason why I got into the, working in student activities was because I got the nomination from my ASAP specialist. Then when I joined the SALT team, I made friends with some people that were welcome ambassadors who were in like Malave. They were working with Mr. Mars already. So because I was always with them, Mr. Mars was like, so is she good? Can you vouch for her? They were like, yeah, she's cool. That's how the conversation went. Yeah, she's cool. She can join. And look where I am now, so it really is all about who you know.
Yeah. So this program is called GEM, right? And a gem is a sparkly precious stone. So what would you say was your sparkly moment or that highlight for you as a student at BMCC?
So I was a student and working at the same time, right? So this story counts. So like I said, I started out as a welcome ambassador, right? I don't know if it's definitely not the same way it was before, right? When we were in person, anyone who was coming up, students, faculty, parents, whomever, anyone who was coming up for registration, we literally had to know every single thing about BMCC, right? I'm not even kidding. Where all the services were, where everything was located, legit, it was like a month training of just like intense boot camp of like, you will learn BMCC in these next 30 days, right? And we did. So I remember, well, I don't remember the student, but she remembers me. I helped a student and her mother, apparently. I'm the type to like, if you need to get somewhere, I'll walk you there, right? Because that's just how I was trained, that's how we were taught. I'll walk you there, I'll make sure that someone knows that, you know, what you're here for, and they'll be taken care of, right? So apparently I helped this student, I brought her to the birth, I really don't remember what it was, but I helped her in a way where like, it kind of like changed her day. Like, she was already having kind of like issues during the day. Registration can be stressful for everyone, okay? So months later, turns out she joins the Bolt program, and we're at the end, at the graduation, when they used to do it in S610, if I'm saying it right, S4, I don't know, it's one of the classrooms. She literally says, yes, I remember Amanda because Amanda was the one who helped me when I first came in. She brought me to the birth site. She said whatever it was, right? And I was just like, wow, like you never know the kind of lasting impact you can have on somebody. Someone is always going to remember how you make them feel. So that's always how I apply, everything I do in my work. I always think about how I'm going to make the other person feel. So yeah, that moment, it was just like, wow, like I can actually make a difference in somebody's life just by simply like, knowing information, by researching, by learning my, where I am so that I can get them to where they need to go.
Yeah.
So that was a highlight for me.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing that. So when you pick up a gem, you can see your own reflection. So please tell us about a situation where you may have reflected on your actions as a leader and have caused you to become more self-aware.
I'll tell you this one. It happened recently. You never really lose in life. It's always learning moments, right? So recently I am, I don't know if I mentioned this in the beginning, but I work at a small school, right? And we didn't necessarily know who was going to be planning graduation this year. So I basically took it on. I was doing it myself, really, with like the dean's assistant. And that's a university-wide initiative. So there's supposed to be a lot of people involved in this. So I've been doing this by myself, basically for the last few months. My supervisor's on maternity leave. Our dean is on bereavement. There was just a lot going on. So like it was just myself and another Amanda of the three that we have in our office. I don't know, we can't get enough Amandas, right? So I'm in one of the graduation meetings. That was just to give you some context. So I'm in one of the graduation meetings, and this one individual makes a comment, basically asking like, okay, so why am I being asked to do this? And without thinking, just because I have been so exhausted and just so overwhelmed, I was just like, because you mentioned it. Hello? And like, I was just, I just went in. And I was like, because it was your idea, like, what don't you understand? So like, it was in that tone, it was in that voice. I kind of said the same thing. And my supervisor tells me afterwards, she was like, good? Like, what's going on? Like, your tone, I know, we all know we're frustrated with the same individuals, but you need to remember your tone. So I had to sit back and think, oh, okay, yes, I know I've been stressed, I know I've been overworked, but that doesn't mean that I can project that on anyone in any, in any instance, especially in a professional environment. That is a big no-no, especially if you're someone who is like me, who is in, a lower level position, right? I'm not necessarily a director, an assistant, not even an assistant director. So I gotta kind of be careful with what I'm doing and saying. So it was really that moment, just like realizing like, ooh, okay, I shouldn't have said it that way. I could have said it a different way, no matter what I was dealing with. So that had to be it for me.
Yeah, I mean that's a great reflection to share, a learning moment for sure. So all right, let's drop a gem of knowledge. What is one piece of advice you would give the members that are here today during this session?
Okay. One thing, always be a student. Never stop learning. Doesn't matter if you are a master, never ever stop studying your fundamentals. I'll give you a quick dance reference. So I've been dancing for 10 years, right? Dancing salsa, bachata, merengue, cha-cha, these kinds of Latin ballroom styles. I still practice my basic steps every day. Well, not every day, I'm gonna be honest. At least twice a week, all right? I'm still working on my basic steps, my basic body movement, the techniques, because I understand that by practicing the fundamentals, by constantly, just learning and constantly seeking knowledge, looking for other classes, looking for other individuals that are, offering technical training, things like that, I know that that will bring me to the level where I want to be, right, of mastery. So yeah, one thing that I have been implementing more in my life is like, okay, I don't know everything. They used to call me know-it-all when I was a kid. And I'm just like, okay, I really don't know everything. Let me continue studying. Let me keep coming into what I'm doing with fresh eyes. Yes, I do have experience, I have knowledge, I have all of that, but there's always something new to learn and something can always be done differently. So always keep learning.
I love that. Lifelong learning. I love that. Okay, so we have some questions from the chat. So in the era of Zoom calls and online learning, what would you suggest as a starter point to network?
Definitely LinkedIn. Right. Like I just started using it recently and I'm like, wow, like this is kind of powerful. So definitely use LinkedIn. If you use Facebook groups is something else that I've used recently. Like it sounds funny because you're like, who uses Facebook anymore? But not for nothing, if you join the right groups, you'll get information. I have a friend who is doing his just got accepted as a grad assistant at Caldwell for his PhD. And the only reason why he found out about that, the only reason why he got the grad assistant position was because he was on Facebook groups.
Wow.
For that program. So, just like talking to people, LinkedIn.
That's LinkedIn and Facebook.
Groups, yeah.
Yeah. And maybe even putting yourself out there in you were saying that you attended some conferences and different events and things. So being able to go through that as well.
Yes.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, just one last thing. Just also getting involved where you don't think that you necessarily think that you would do it. Like, just a quick example, like I joined the CUNY Council Student Life Directors meeting, to cover for my supervisor who's on maternity leave. And, I wasn't really like trying to get involved or anything like that, but they recently had like some elections to be like the secretary and co-chair. And I was just like, I don't know if I can do it. Like, I don't have the bandwidth, but, I spoke to some people and they told me otherwise, but I was like, you know what? I will do it. I don't know anything about it. I don't know what's going on, but it will be a great networking opportunity for me.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You got to put yourself out there sometimes, 100%. So another question that came through the chat was if there's any way that if people can get in contact with you outside of this Zoom, and if so, how?
Yes, I will put my email in the chat. Give me my personal email. There you go. And you can feel free to, email me with any questions, anything. Well, not anything, but.
But this is also an opportunity for folks to start, pursuing that networking experience when presenters put their email in the chat, and you think about it and then you're like, no, I'm not going to bother them. It's not a bother. I promise you, it's an opportunity for you to grow and to network.
Yes, just to think back to the LinkedIn thing, I have a friend, well, not a friend, a classmate who's in the same program as me. She saw that I have Deputy Title IX Coordinator on my LinkedIn, right? Because that's also one of the things that I do. And she was like, wow, okay, yeah, I didn't know this, but we were in classes together. Can we like talk? Can we meet? And so I can find out more information about it? And I was like, yeah, sure. Like, I had no problem with it. And a lot of the time, other people don't. So.
Awesome. Well, Christina's just letting us know in the chat that there doesn't seem to be any more questions. So Amanda, thank you so, so much for being here and giving us your time and, sharing gems of knowledge and just being an awesome person. I've really enjoyed getting to know you a little bit better and hear about your journey. And yeah, so if everyone can give a round of applause with your little reaction emojis, a little celebratory kudos. So thank you so much for everyone that's here. Your attendance has already been recorded, so you are free to go. Myself, Amanda, and Christina will hang out a little bit in case anyone has any questions that they don't feel comfortable in the chat putting together. Otherwise, this was today's gem, and we're so grateful to have you here and looking forward to seeing you all next week if you're able to make it.